Hello and welcome back to Backroads and Boondocks. Today we're going to continue our exploration of the Clear Creek Trail in Pine Mountain State Park in Pineville, Kentucky. There are still lots of interesting things to see along the way, and be sure to stay tuned to the end to see the abandoned blockhouses. So if you're ready to go, why don't you come on along with me and let me show you around. Okay, we have reached our destination for today. This is the other part of the trail that we hiked on the last adventure. If you remember, the other part of the trail had a train tunnel and some train trestles on it. This is directly across the road, and this is the Clear Creek Hollow Trail also, and in this part of it is 1 mile long. So total trip is going to be 2 miles. This should be a very interesting trip, so if you're ready, let's get started. Here we are a little further down the trail, and as you can see, the first part of the trail is paved. Now this is really a little street that runs along the edge of a little Bible college here. We are currently on the campus of the Clear Creek Bible College, and this college has been in existence since 1926. It started with 12 students and currently has 133 students. It is an absolutely beautiful campus. And if you look right there, you can see a swinging bridge. And if you remember last episode, we saw one of these that was completely in ruins. That one is still functional. So we're going to walk down there in a minute and have a look at that. Give you a little bit of a look. This is just a corner of this campus. That building off in the distance is Kelly Hall. It is a men's dorm and the cafeteria. It was built between 1937 and 1941 and has some amazing rock work. Well, all right, let's go have a look at that swinging bridge. Here we have a closer look at that swinging bridge. So you can see it's in really good shape. It's not as high or as long as the other one we saw, but this one is definitely in better shape. And I'm pretty sure it's as old, if not older, than the one we saw in the last video. I have seen pictures of this bridge from the 1940s being used. So, let's get on up here and cross this bridge. Well, here we are at the beginning of the bridge, so let's walk on across and see how much bouncing we do. Well, yeah, she definitely got some bounce to her, folks. Woohoo! All right. We are out in the middle. Let's have a look at the creek here. This little bridge crosses Clear Creek, just like those railroad trestles did on the last episode. There's the other direction. All right, let's finish crossing now. All right. Okay, we are out the other side. Look back across to what we just came across. Now these bridges, like I said, used to be very, very common in eastern Kentucky, but not so much anymore. And like I said, this one's been around for a long time. I've seen pictures of it from the 1940s. I'm sure it's had some updates done to it since then, but basically still the same bridge. All right, let's get back to the trail and move along. Well, I know I said we were going to go back to the trail, but first I wanted to give you one last look at this swinging bridge. Thing is just beautiful. Couldn't ask for a prettier setting for that. That whole thing is being held by 2 big steel cables. Absolutely amazing. Well, all right, let's move along. Here we are back on the trail, and as you can see here, we have to make a choice. The road continues down to the left, but if you look up to the right, you can definitely tell that's the old railroad bed and that's the walking trail. The road going down to the right just continues on through the Clear Creek campus, goes out to some housing and stuff, but that's not where we want to go. We want to follow this trail. So let's get moving. We have come down the trail a little ways, and up ahead of us is our first railroad trestle. As you can see, again, trail's nice and flat, and there seems to be gravel right down the middle there where people have walked. So let's walk up on this bridge and see what kind of shape it's in and see what we can see. Here we are at the beginning of this train trestle, our first one on this part of the trail. And as you can see, there are trees growing up out of this one. But they've installed a boardwalk for us to go across. So let's walk on across here. You see, some of the old railroad ties are in pretty rough shape. Of course, last time the railroad ran through here was in the 1980s, so it's been quite a few years since this was used for trains. Not being maintained like it would be if trains were running over it. I don't know if you can see that out there, but that's Clear Creek running underneath us again. So this railroad crosses Clear Creek a lot. All right, so we've got some more trail out ahead of us. So let's walk on off this bridge and let's have a look at it from up underneath. All right, well, this is the bridge we just crossed. As you can see, it's missing a whole lot of railroad ties right there. Did not notice that when I was walking across it. And you can see that all the braces and stuff up underneath it are still in good shape though. Look at the pillars this thing's sitting on. Again, those big rocks like the last railroad bridge we saw on the other side of the road. And this one has a retaining wall going up the creek there, holding the hillside back out of the creek. It was probably built to keep the creek from washing out the bridge pillar there. All right, well, let's get back up top and continue walking this trail. Well, we've hit another spot on the trail where it goes up on the road. It looks like it goes up on the road and crosses a parking lot. So just be sure that you go straight, follow the road and go straight. So that way you don't get off the trail. And I'm gonna meet you guys on the other side of this parking lot where the trail picks back up again. So I'll see you on the other side. We have made it to the other side. Here we are here, we're picking the trail back up again. So let's walk on up here and see what's ahead of us. Well, here we are a little further down the trail and we've come up on a sign. And the sign says Prayer Trail. So we're probably still on the property of the Clear Creek Bible College. And also, if you look ahead, there's another train trestle. So let's walk on up there and have a look at that one. Well, here we are at the mouth of the train trestle. And we've got a nice boardwalk here to walk across, thank goodness, because the railroad ties on this are also in rough shape. Got plants growing up through it on both sides. Boardwalk seems fairly solid though. Looks like there were still some boards laying across the top of this at one time. Some of those are not rotted railroad ties, are rotted regular flat boards. Interesting. And give you another shot again. There's Clear Creek again. This railroad spends a lot of its time crossing Clear Creek. You really can't see anything out the other side but the woods, but the creek is there. Fortunately, I won't be able to give you a shot from the bottom of this one because this is really grown up around this one, and I'm sure snakes live around here. So we'll move on up the trail and see what else there is to see. Well, we've come a little ways up from that last train trestle, and there stands this cross next to the road here. There's a little medallion on it. So let's walk up a little closer and see who put the cross up. All right, we're closer up now. Let me walk up on this medallion. And it reads, Clear Creek Bible College, the Lord is near to all who call on him in the truth. Psalms 145:18. And this was put up by the class of 2015. This is a big cross. We're probably a quarter of a mile from where we left the parking lot. And you guys saw that train trestle we came across, so there's no way they brought this out here on a truck. Those guys must have carried this thing all the way out here. Yeah, it's been here for 5 years and it's in good shape. Neat. All right, let's walk on up the trail. Well, we're a little further up the trail, just on past the cross, and we've come to this big railroad cut in the hill. We had the tunnel on the other side. This is a pretty deep cut. Solid rock, too. That doesn't hardly look big enough to get a train through. Let's walk on through and have a look at this. Look at the size of those rocks. Like I said, this isn't super wide. Not a whole lot of room for a mistake for a train. Something hanging off, somebody hanging off. It'd get hooked in here pretty quick. Now, it looks like we've had an avalanche right here. There's a big rock laying right there. Must have come from up in there. This railroad, again, was laid out in the 1880s. So all this was done by hand. I don't see any evidence that this was dynamited out. I don't know if you can see it there, but just outside of this cut is another railroad trestle. And this cut kind of goes in a curve. So they had to cut this not straight, but curved. Very interesting. Now let's walk on up to this train trestle and see what we can see. So here we are at the beginning of the third train trestle on this part of the trail. Now, growth-wise, this one's probably in the best shape of all three of them. There's not a whole lot of things growing up out of it. But you can see that the railroad ties are in pretty rough shape. Walk on across here. Some big bolts still left in these railroad ties. You can see there were some boards laying on top at one time. Not sure what that would be for. Oh, here we go. Get another look at Clear Creek, crossing it for the third time just in this little bit that we've been on this trail. This whole trail is only a mile long one way. So we've crossed this creek 3 times already and we ain't even gone a mile yet. I'm going to give you a look back. That right there is that cut in the hill that goes around the curve there, that train cut that we just came out of. With all the trees growing up, it almost looks like a tunnel. All right, give you one more look at the creek. And the trail's out before us, so let's get on up the trail. We are off the trail just a little bit. I noticed this. This looks like a rock retaining wall. And if you look down that way, it looks like it went on down that way a little bit and it's collapsed. It looks like an old road goes up that way. And this is off the railroad tracks, just, I don't know, maybe 10 yards. But that's definitely a retaining wall there. And up on the hill, looks like there's a flat spot where a house was. I'm gonna go up there and have a look. Here's that flat spot. It's just up from the retaining wall we just saw. Definitely looks like it'd be big enough for a small house. And also, too, at one end, there's a big pile of stones here, and most of them are pretty flat. Maybe that's the chimney pile there, what's left of the chimney. But this definitely looks like an old house site to me. Interesting. And we'll never know who lived here. But this was somebody's home, probably. Okay, well, let's head on back to the trail and move on along. Just wanted to let you all see how flat and easy this trail is. And just listen for a minute how peaceful it is out here. Listen to the crickets and the cicada and the birds. It's just amazing out here. I could stand out here all day and listen to this, but we better get moving on. All right, we've just come out of the trail right there, and this is the end of the trail right here at the road, and it ends at these 2 blockhouses. These 2 blockhouses mark the entrance to Kentucky Ridge State Forest, and they were built by the CCC in the 1930s. I don't think they serve any other purpose other than just to stand there and mark the beginning of the forest. It looks like, though, that they had windows at one time where they could have been opened and given out information, but I've never seen any pictures of them where that was the case. Well, let's cross the road and have a closer look at these two things. Here's a closer look at the blockhouse on the right side of the road. And as you can see, there's one of the windows I was talking about. Of course, somebody had to come along and spray paint it. People can't leave things alone. These blockhouses are 2 stories tall. Quite a large structure. Let's walk around and have a look. Some very nice rock work. You see, it had a door in the back where you could go in. And that door is missing, so we can stick our heads in here. Well, not much to see, but as you can see, it had a window that opened to the front and a window that opened to the roadside. And there's enough room in here to set up a table where you could give out information or take fees, but I've never, like I said, I've never seen a picture where anybody was doing anything in here. Look up in there. Things in great shape, especially considering the door's missing. All right, let's go have a look at the other one. And here's the blockhouse on the left-hand side of the road. It's a twin to the one we just saw. Again, they're 2 stories tall, made out of rock and wood. They're in great shape. There's one of those windows. Hey, that one at least is not spray painted. That's great. Let's walk around here and have a look at this one. And again, well, that window's spray painted, but there's the one that faces out toward the road. And then there's the one on the other side that faces out toward the road. And then there's a parking lot in front of the window that faces out the front of that one. And then there's a parking lot behind this one. So these must have served some other purpose at some time. All right, so here's the opening in the other one, and the door's still hanging on this one. Oh, there's the door to the other one. Well, that mystery's solved. Somebody tore the door off and brought it over here. And you can see there's a window that opens to the road, and that window opens to the front. So these things could have been used for collecting fees and giving out information. Like I said, I just don't know. Also, I want to show you the other side. See, there's no window on this side. This is the side that faces the woods. And it's exactly like that on the other one. The side that faces the wood, there's no window. Okay. All right, let's get one last look at these from the front and wrap this adventure up. One last look at the mystery blockhouses, and that's going to wrap up today's adventure. Hope you all enjoyed today's trip. If you did, be sure to give us a like. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button so you know when we post new material. And thank you all for coming today, and we'll see y'all next time.